Your patience is rewarded.
Four Planeswalkers vanish into the blind eternities and are summoned to a fatal free-for-all skirmish. The quartet have chosen a commander to represent them in an all-out assault where only one can leave as champion. Who will amass the most vicious army and leave triumphantly? Find out on Commander BLITZKRIEG! To begin the game, our Planeswalkers play a few tapped lands. Tyler decides to up the stakes, playing his land and casting Soul Ring. Brandon plays a command tower to fix his mana colors. Wooberg plays another tapped land, gaining a life. Jay plays Vivid Grove and passes the turn. Tyler plays a tapped land and is now only a mountain away from casting Uril. Brandon plays a land and passes. Wooberg plays his land and taps out to cast Laboratory Maniac. Jay taps out to cast Cultivate. He puts a Plains into play tapped, and another Plains into his hand. Tyler finds his mountain, and casts his commander Uril. Brandon plays his fourth land and casts Jeleva. Unfortunately, all players whiff on instants and sorceries, so Brandon only exiles his own Arcane Denial. Wooberg plays an Exotic Orchard and passes. Jay also plays a land and passes. Tyler casts Sage's Reverie and attaches it to Uril, drawing him a card. Brandon plays a land and casts Nekuzar. He moves to combat and swings at Tyler for 1 commander damage. Wooberg draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. Wooberg casts Crafty Pathmage, then plays an Is It Boilerworks as land for turn, returning a land to his hand. Jay draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. He plays a forest and casts Spirit of the Hearth. Tyler draws 2 cards on his draw step and loses 2 life. He plays his own command tower as land for turn. Tapping for 2, he casts Daybreak Coronet, attaching it to Uril. Tyler moves to combat and swings at Brandon with Uril. Brandon blocks with Nekuzar, and Tyler gains a healthy 14 life. Brandon plays his land and passes the turn. Wooberg plays Reliquary Tower. He then makes a deal with Brandon and Jay. Don't attack him for a turn, and he'll slow down Uril. The table agrees, and Wooberg casts River's Rebuke targeting Tyler. Tyler returns all his non-land permanents to his hand. Wooberg then moves to combat and swings at Tyler for 2 damage. Jay plays his land for turn. He casts Sword of Vengeance and equips it to Spirit of the Hearth. He triggers Arahbo's Eminence ability and swings at Tyler for 9 damage. This brings Tyler back down to the other player's life totals. Tyler untaps and recasts Soul Ring. He taps 5 mana and casts Karametra, God of Harvest, before passing his turn. Brandon does not cast any spells on his turn, but hits Tyler for another commander damage, only 19 more to go. Wooberg untaps and plays an island. He taps 6 to cast Arcanus the Omnipotent. He pays 1 mana for the Eminence ability of Inalla to create a token copy of Arcanus with haste. He taps the token with haste to draw 3 cards. At the end of the turn, he exiles the token Arcanus. On Jay's turn, Jay moves directly to combat and once again triggers Arahbo's Eminence ability, hitting Wooberg for 9 damage. He then taps 7 mana to cast Zendikar Resurgent. Tyler untaps and casts Winds of Wrath to wipe the current board. Brandon keeps his mana open to counter another potential Uril or a different threat. so he passes the turn. Brandon is immediately given a difficult decision, as WUBRG casts the magic mirror for 8 mana. The spell resolves and WUBRG passes. Now with an abundance of mana, Jay casts Hedron Archive. Speaking of abundance, he casts Abundance. For his final spell, he casts Curse of Bounty on Tyler. Jay then passes the turn. Tyler casts a Core Spirit Dancer, triggering Karametra. Tyler puts a Plains into play tapped. Tyler attempts to cast Sage's Reverie. But Brandon plays Slaughter Pact to destroy the creature. Tyler still gets to draw a card for casting an aura spell thanks to Core Spirit Dancer's ability. Brandon pays the cost of Slaughter Pact on upkeep. He then plays a Molten Slag Heap and puts a storage counter on it. Brandon passes the turn. WUBRG draws an additional card thanks to the Magic Mirror on upkeep. He plays a Swamp. Then casts Nico Bolas God Pharaoh. WUBRG uses the +2 ability targeting Jay. Allowing WUBRG to cast Sunspear Shikari without paying its mana cost. Jay denies the Abundance trigger during his draw step. He casts his commander Arahbo and draws a card thanks to Zendikar Resurgent. He equips Arahbo with Sword of Vengeance. Jay moves to combat and swings at Nico Bolas. WUBRG blocks with Sunspear Shikari, but 5 damage still tramples over. Tyler untaps and cast Sigarda, Host of Herons. Brandon counters it with good old Counterspell. Tyler still gets to search for a land to put into play tapped thanks to Karametra. Tyler finishes his turn strong by casting Sterling Grove. Brandon decides it's time to speed up the game, tapping 6 mana to cast Havoc Festival. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, they will lose half their life rounded up. Wooberg moves to upkeep, drawing a few extra cards thanks to Magic Mirror, and losing half his life rounded up thanks to Havoc Festival. He plays Cascade Bluffs as land for turn. He then taps 5 mana to cast Gadwick for X equals 2, drawing 2 cards. He casts Information Dealer, triggering Gadwick. He chooses to tap the already tapped Sol Ring. He uses the +2 on Nico Bolas, targeting Tyler. This allows Wooberg to cast Totem Guide Heartbeast without paying its mana cost. He fails to find an aura in his deck, so he passes the turn. Jay untaps and loses half his life rounded up. For his Abundance Replacement effect, he chooses non-land. He reveals Staff of Nin and puts it into his hand. Jay casts Leonin Relic Warder, exiling Havoc Festival until Leonin Relic Warder leaves the battlefield. He chooses non-land again for his draw replacement from the Zendikar Resurgent trigger, revealing Condemn and putting it into his hand. He equips the Sword of Vengeance to the Relic Warder. Then Jay casts Hunter's Prowess, targeting Relic Warder. He moves to combat swinging Arahbo at Tyler and Relic Warder at Brandon. He misses his Eminence trigger, which would have added a few more damage and drawn him some extra cards. Both players take the damage. Jay chooses non-land for his 7 Abundance draws. He reveals Relic Crush, Tajnar Swordsmith, Dreamstone Hedron, Jareth Leonin Titan, Leonin Arbiter, and Stalking Leonin, which all go to his hand. Second main phase, he plays Leonin Arbiter. Jay discards down to hand size and passes to Tyler. Tyler casts Uril. He declines to pay the Leonin Arbiter tax to search for his land. He casts All That Glitters onto Uril. Tyler then recasts Daybreak Coronet onto Uril. Brandon plays War's Toll on his turn, increasing the existing chaos. He then passes the turn. Wooberg draws for upkeep and his magic mirror. He immediately uses the +2 on Nico Bolas, targeting Brandon. But declines to cast a free spell. Carefully counting his mana and separating the colors, Wooberg taps all his mana and casts Time Warp. With Time Warp on the stack, he flashes in Naru Meha to copy Time Warp. He then activates Inalla's Eminence ability to create a token copy of Naru Meha, choosing to keep the original. Because the token entered the battlefield, he still is able to copy Time Warp a second time, giving Wooberg 3 additional turns. He seems to forget Karametra is a creature and Uril has lifelink, because he swings 3 creatures at Tyler. Gaining Tyler 15 life. He moves to end step and passes to himself. In extra turn 1 of 3, Wooberg draws more cards with Magic Mirror. He plays a Swamp, then uses his main phase to cast Coffin Queen. He taps 1 mana to activate Inalla to make a token copy with haste. He accidentally moves to Cheat Step, but it doesn't affect the game that heavily. He uses 3 of the mana to tap the token and bring back Laboratory Maniac. He uses the +2 on Nicol Bolas, targeting Brandon again. And again declining to cast the free card. Wooberg moves to turn 2 of 3. He uses the +2 of Nicol Bolas, targeting Brandon. Again declining to cast. He casts his own Whisper Silk Cloak and equips it to Coffin Queen. Wooberg casts Bloodline Necromancer, paying 1 mana for Inalla's Eminence ability to create a token copy with haste. Wooberg returns Arcanus the Omnipotent and Crafty Math Mage for the Bloodline Necromancer's enters the battlefield effect. Wooberg moves to his final turn, drawing his additional cards with Magic Mirror. He then taps Arcanus to draw 3 more cards. He casts Mind Unbound because he just isn't drawing enough cards on upkeep. But it's still not over, as he next casts Riptide Director. Paying 1 for the Eminence ability, and paying 4 to tap the token and draw a card for each wizard he controls. He uses 1 mana to cast Soul Ring, right on cue. Wooberg uses his remaining mana and Soul Ring to cast Sower of Temptation, gaining control of Leonin Relic Warder. Finally, he uses the -12 ability on Nicol Bolas to exile each non-land permanent each opponent controls. Jay finally untaps and puts an end to all the shenanigans. He casts Divine Reckoning. Wooberg chooses to keep the Coffin Queen. Now, since Leonin Relic Warder has left the battlefield, Brandon gets Havoc Festival back. Jay then casts Stalking Leonin, choosing an opponent in secret. Jay passes his turn. Tyler untaps and loses half his life, rounded up. Tyler taps 4 mana to cast Shalai, Voice of Plenty. He then equips Shalai with Shielded by Faith, Flavor Win. He passes turn. Brandon untaps and loses half his life rounded up. Brandon recasts his commander Jeleva, resulting in a much better outcome than the first time. He reads over his instants and sorceries in exile, then passes the turn. Wooberg untaps and loses half his life rounded up. I'll be speeding up the next part as the wheels were turning, but nothing really happens. Wooberg was able to put Time Warp back on top of his deck with Mystic Sanctuary, draw it, and copy the cast a few times again. The real tragedy is that Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, was taken out of the deck as he only had one copy and never returned it. He may have won by casting it and drawing out his deck, if it wouldn't have been exiled by Jeleva earlier in the game. You never know. Now with Laboratory Maniac exiled, no Jace, and Havoc Festival eating away at his life, Wooberg draws his deck to death. Jay untaps and loses half his life rounded up. He then passes the turn. Tyler untaps, losing half his life rounded up. He taps 2 to cast Starfield Mystic. He taps 4 mana to cast Faith Unbroken onto Shalai. Tyler targets Jeleva to be exiled until Faith Unbroken leaves the battlefield. Brandon decides to move Jeleva back into the command zone. Tyler moves to combat and swings Shalai at Brandon. Before damage, Jay casts Condemn on Shalai. Putting Shalai on the bottom of Tyler's library and gaining Tyler 6 life. Next, Brandon loses half his life rounded up. He casts Wild Evocation, but it doesn't last long, as on his end step, Jay destroys both Havoc Festival and Wild Evocation with Relic Crush. On Jay's own turn, he moves directly to combat, giving Stalking Leonin +3/+3 with Arahbo's Eminence ability, hitting Tyler for 6 damage. During his second main phase, he casts Oreskos Explorer for his additional body. Tyler starts his turn with a Desperation play. He casts Garruk Primal Hunter and uses the -3 to draw 4 cards. He casts Idyllic Tutor, searching his library and revealing an Eldrazi Conscription. But passes the turn. Brandon overloads Cyclonic Rift to buy himself another turn. Jay flashes in a Set's Tiger at the end of Brandon's turn. Jay casts Arahbo during his main phase. He moves to combat and gives Set's Tiger +3/+3, then activates Arahbo's ability to double the power and toughness and give Trample to Set's Tiger until the end of turn, hitting Tyler for a perfect 12. Jay passes the turn. Brandon uses his main phase to Chaos Warp Arahbo. Unfortunately for Jay, he only hits a land off the top. Brandon has no other spells he wants to cast, so he passes. Jay plays a Tajnar Swordsmith with an extra 2 to search for and put Swiftfoot Boots onto the battlefield. Jay equips the boots to Tajnar and swings down for lethal. Brandon won't go down without a fight, as he casts Pact of the Titan to create a 4/4 creature token, blocking the 3/3 and killing it. But he still takes 5 damage. Second main phase, Jay recasts the Stalking Leonin, then passes the turn. Brandon pays for the Pact of the Titan on upkeep. He then casts Wishclaw Talisman. He immediately uses the talisman and hands it over to Jay before passing. Jay moves to his turn and swings both creatures again. Looks like Brandon was bluffing, but it didn't quite work. He couldn't find a spell to keep him in the game, so Jay takes the victory. Thank you all so much for watching. If you wanted to see more of the decks, check out the description below and we have links to the deck list. I hope you can forgive any mistakes we may have made. We're not professional Magic players, but we try and do our best. Let us know what color combinations or commanders you want to see the most. Be sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and follow me on Instagram. Again, thanks for watching. Until next time.